Picture this. It's 2021. South Florida is the hottest real estate ticket in America. Condos are flying off the shelves faster than you can say bidding war. And the governor is grinning ear to ear, taking credit for the sunshine-fueled gold rush. Fast forward 4 short years, and the same beaches are littered with for sale signs nobody wants to touch. Insurance giants are ghosting entire zip codes, and condo owners are opening mail that feels like ransom notes. $50,000 special assessments, dues doubling overnight, and a single hurricane watch can vaporize hundreds of millions in pending deals before breakfast. If you thought Florida was the safest bet on the board, buckle up, because paradise just turned into a financial minefield nobody saw coming. And even the state's top dog is losing his cool on live television. Smash that subscribe button right now so you never miss the next market meltdown. Drop Florida in the comments if you're watching this from the Sunshine State, and let's dive into how America's dream coast became a waking nightmare. Back in 2021, the math was intoxicating. Over 330,000 new residents poured in like it was the last lifeboat off a sinking continent, pushing the state past 22 million souls and turning every coastal high-rise into a cash machine. U-Haul caravans snaked down I-95. License plates from New York, Illinois, and California stacked 3 deep at every toll booth. And modest 3 bedrooms in Boca that scraped $480,000 pre-pandemic were suddenly flipping for nearly $1 million by the spring of 2022. Sellers slapped 48-hour deadlines on listings, buyers wired 6-figure deposits sight unseen, and real estate agents needed caffeine drips just to keep up with the frenzy. The governor, quick on the draw, turned every ribbon cutting into a campaign ad, bragging about low taxes, open schools, and a state that refused to lock down while the rest of the country hid under masks. Developers slapped his photo on billboards. Retirees cashed out 401ks convinced they'd found the final jackpot. And South Florida crowned itself the new capital of opportunity.
But under the postcard gloss, cracks were already forming faster than anyone admitted. Families scraping together down payments got steamrolled by all-cash investors parachuting in from out of state. Condo associations that once met once a quarter were now fielding 20 calls a day, and the median price in Miami-Dade rocketed from $243,000 in late 2019 to almost $500,000 by mid-2022. Inventory evaporated in days, not weeks, and the fear of missing out became a bigger driver than the fear of overpaying. Yet the first domino nobody noticed was the insurance market, quietly hemorrhaging. Between 2021 and 2023, 6 carriers flat-out collapsed, leaving tens of thousands scrambling for coverage while the party raged on. Actuaries weren't panicking about storms, they were panicking about lawsuits. Florida was cranking out 80% of America's homeowner insurance litigation while filing less than 10% of the actual claims, meaning every tropical depression spawned a blizzard of court filings that jacked premiums skyward. By 2024, the average condo owner in Miami-Dade or Broward was shelling out north of $6,000 a year just to keep a policy active, more than property taxes. And that wild card started killing deals at the closing table. Carriers stopped writing new business, blacklisted entire buildings for leaky roofs or outdated wiring, and lenders flat-out refused to fund anything without ironclad coverage. The state's insurer of last resort, Citizens Property, ballooned into a Frankenstein nobody designed, funded by policyholders and ready to slap assessments on every insured roof in Florida if one big storm ever hit. Confidence eroded with every bankruptcy filing, and condo boards, suddenly on the hook, started passing the pain straight to owners with dues hikes and special levies that turned retirement dreams into monthly nightmares. Then came the night nobody in South Florida will ever forget. June 24, 2021, just past 1:20 in the morning, half of Champlain Towers south and Surfside pancaked into rubble without a whisper of warning, claiming 98 lives and searing a new fear into every coastal zip code. Rescue crews worked under floodlights, while engineers pored over blueprints that read like horror novels.
And within weeks, lawmakers in Tallahassee were drafting the toughest building safety overhaul in state history. By May 2022, the governor, same guy who'd been high-fiving developers, signed milestone inspection laws into stone. Any condo 3 stories or taller, especially pre-1992 construction, now had to undergo mandatory structural checkups every 30 years. No opt-outs, no waivers. Licensed engineers crawled through foundations, hunting corroded rebar, water intrusion, anything that could drop a building overnight. And associations were forced to fund reserves for every repair, whether owners voted yes or no. Reports went public online, giving buyers, banks, and insurers a front-row seat to every deficiency. What sounded like common-sense safety on paper detonated like a financial bomb in the real world. Inspections peeled back decades of Band-Aid fixes, rusted beams hidden behind stucco, roofs held together by hope, and repair estimates ballooned into millions per tower. A 40-unit mid-rise could easily face 20 grand a door before the dues even spiked, and retirees on fixed incomes opened envelopes that might as well have said sell or starve. Board meetings turned into shouting matches, volunteer directors quit rather than face neighbors, and the December 31st, 2025 deadline loomed like a guillotine. Miss it and face fines, occupancy bans, or worse. Engineering firms reported wait lists stretching half a year. County officials admitted they had zero clue how many buildings were still uninspected, and every delay ratcheted the panic higher. Diane Foster's story could be any owner's story. Two-bedroom Hollywood mid-rise bought as a grandkid-friendly nest egg, then a board letter demanding $52,000 in 3 installments, plus permanent dues north of $2,100 a month, nearly double her old mortgage. Social Security checks cover groceries, not surprise bills the size of a luxury SUV.
And across the Tri-County area, thousands of similar letters landed like cluster bombs. Vacations canceled, nest eggs drained, early retirement fantasies swapped for second jobs. Owning a slice of paradise now meant living under a permanent cloud of financial dread. By spring 2025, the sales collapse was undeniable. Miami-Dade down 25% year over year, Broward 24%, Palm Beach 17%. Statewide inventory swollen to 80,000 unsold condos and townhouses, a 35% surge that translated into 10 solid months of supply. Buyers vanished faster than the listings piled up. FHA loans? Good luck. Less than 1% of buildings qualified. Conventional lenders demanded 25% down if reserves looked thin or inspection reports smelled funny, locking out first-timers and working families entirely. Cash buyers circled like cautious vultures, terrified of hidden assessments or blacklist flags that could nuke financing overnight. Once a tower landed on an insurer's or bank's no-go list, prices cratered. A Miami Beach unit that fetched $250 grand in 2023 couldn't pull $150 today, and pending deals evaporated by double digits monthly. Showings canceled mid-drive, deposits forfeited, approvals yanked days before closing. Agents described a market frozen in amber. And then Mother Nature twisted the knife. A routine tropical wave near the Bahamas on July 31 spun up into Hurricane Erin, a modest Category 1 that nonetheless triggered the mother of all market seizures. The second the National Hurricane Center cone brushed South Florida, insurers slapped blanket moratoria. No new policies, no binders, no exceptions. Lenders froze every wire transfer in the warning zone. MLS platforms auto-flipped hundreds of listings to storm hold, and county offices shuttered under emergency declarations. In 48 frantic hours, 490 contracts died or stalled across the Tri-County area, 210 in Miami-Dade, 165 in Broward, 115 in Palm Beach, representing $277 million in vanished closings. Title companies drowned in backlog, escrow deposits hung in limbo, and condo boards stared at budgets suddenly short on incoming cash. Automation made the paralysis instantaneous. Real-time data feeds pinged the moment a county entered the cone, cascading freezes through every back-end system with zero human override. One advisory flipped a red-hot summer into a dead calm.
And the market obeyed like clockwork. The governor stormed to a podium with charts and fury, voice cracking as he rattled off the carnage, pointing fingers at insurers, lenders, bureaucrats, trial lawyers, the feds, anybody but the policies his administration had cheered. Reporters hammered him on moratoriums, blacklists, families trapped in escrow purgatory, and his answers grew shorter, sharper, until aides yanked him off stage mid-sentence while cameras rolled. By nightfall, the clip looped on every network, spliced with drone shots of empty sales floors and scrolling tickers of canceled deals, cementing the image of a crisis that had finally rattled the state's top office. Blame ping-pong between Tallahassee, county commissions, and insurance giants. But the only constant was uncertainty. The same migration that supercharged Florida's boom was now reversing. Address changes to Texas and Georgia spiked 8% after every insurance pullback. Zillow searches for Atlanta and Dallas surged while South Florida listings rotted, and moving trucks rolled north loaded with furniture and horror stories. Ex-Floridians showed up in Marietta or Austin with cash in hand and tales of board meetings that ended in tears, fueling bidding wars in markets that suddenly looked like safe havens. Developers in the Sunbelt seized the moment, pitching new construction free of Surfside-era mandates. But economists warned the pressure was just relocating, not disappearing. Carriers retreating from Miami were already eyeballing coastal risks in the Carolinas and Gulf states. The contagion spread quietly. Hundreds of buildings blacklisted from conventional loans, owners marooned with unsellable units and crushing bills, dominoes tipping from Fort Lauderdale to Houston. Miami-Dade's property appraiser called it the next great crisis, a toxic brew of safety mandates, certification chaos, and runaway insurance costs. And every expert tracking the fallout agreed the ripples wouldn't stop at the state line.
Engineering slots vanish, and condo boards juggle budgets like Jenga towers one breath from collapse. Will thousands of towers clear the deadline? Will carriers ever return in force? Nobody knows. But one truth is crystal. Florida's rocket ride exposed fault lines nobody can paper over, and every new law, every storm track, every viral clip of a governor unraveling tests the breaking point of America's favorite coastal fantasy. The sun still shines, the waves still crash, but the price of paradise now includes a question mark the size of a mortgage payment. And for buyers, owners, and policymakers alike, every decision echoes for years. If this deep dive into Florida's condo crash kept you glued, hit that like button, share it with anyone eyeing a Sunshine State move, turn on the bell so you catch the next market shockwave, and tell me in the comments, what's the wildest real estate story you've lived through? Stay sharp, stay subscribed, and we'll see you in the next one.